So hello everybody, this is Lee Cant and Neelu Chaudhari in London, UK on the Wednesday the 31st of August 2022. Our daily brainstorming regarding the launch of SWISSINDO, what people need to know and how they can prepare for it. So we were talking about the Green Hilton Agreement in 1963. And John F. Kennedy had actually signed it. So the fact that he had signed it meant that it was signed. Nobody could take that signature away. The fact that they killed JFK did not make any difference to the agreement and the contract between the President of the United States and King Sukarno, who is the father of King Sugihatono Tonoboro, Mr. Sino. That contract is still valid. So can you just elaborate on that, Lee? Is that right?
That is correct. He did sign it, and I don't think it's been repealed. It hasn't been cancelled.
Well, you can't go back in time. You can't go back 8 days and say that signature did not, happen when it did.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So have you seen the actual document, Lee? Have we got it somewhere?
Yes, we've got the Green Hilton Agreement.
And has it got the signature of King Sukarno and JFK on it?
It does, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So like literally, so who's overridden that? Who has dared to override the signature of the President of the United States? Who has ignored it? All the presidents, subsequent presidents after JFK have dishonored it, haven't they?
Yeah, that's right.
So the fact that loans and debts continued in the US when there was always more money than people needed in their trust accounts,
yeah,
means that the banks that did that are in treason, because all the international agreements were that we generate our prosperity at birth and it sees us across to our entire life, which is what SWISSINDO is about. So
yeah. It was it's an agreement, so we need to research a little bit more about that, and how it affects the government, and what reaction the government needs to have to that agreement. I mean, the governments worldwide have annulled upon themselves hundreds of very important high-level treaties and agreements, like the Briand-Kellogg Pact during the 1920s. That was a major violation against the League of Nations.
And the world, the Gandhi connection, MK Gandhi set up the League of Nations, and so it was all trickery, wasn't it? All the way it was sabotage, backstabbing of the top leaders. Everyone got tricked, didn't they? So King Sukarno got tricked, JFK got tricked and killed.
Yeah.
So what was this force that was able to get away with killing presidents? It was the media, isn't it? The media lies that people believe. The media lies have got bigger and bigger over the years. They've always had the ill intention to
That's
lie.
right. That's right. They misrepresent what is truly the case. That's right. It's a misrepresentation. I mean, you can go on to Google now and just type in, Green Hilton agreement, and it'll bring up a little bit about the history. It'll show the agreement. And also, do you want to comment about your phone call to the embassy here in London? Or do you want to leave that for a
No,
later?
I can say that I rang the Indonesian embassy in London today to follow up on the
Yeah,
email I sent them and the voicemail I left for them about 2 weeks ago, just to say I haven't had a response. My phone number's been blocked, and I need the ambassador to contact us regarding the access to the funds for the whole world through Indonesia, which is being blocked by,
no,
it's with the Bank of England. I said to him that some monies have gone to the Bank of England for the people of England from Indonesia, but obviously they need the cooperation of the ambassadors from Indonesia to facilitate the transfers, because unless they access those funds don't actually get into the Bank of England. They will just remain dormant somewhere.
yeah,
It's just going to be a figure that's not accessed. So he
yeah,
said to me, resend the email. So I've resent the email, and now we're contacting those embassies in Jakarta from those 5 countries that have received the 1 quadrillion earlier this month. That's
yeah,
USA, UK, China, Russia, and South Africa. We've asked those ambassadors to go and meet Mr. Sino to arrange for the funds to be made available to the countries of that
yeah,
world that have received that money recently. So
yeah,
everything seems to be going well. I mean, I did say that Indonesia is not a safe country for anyone to travel to because of these lawlessness regarding the SWISSINDO. And some force has denied the prosperity for 9 years to the Indonesian people. It's every country is the same. No country is safe if the people are being deliberately denied prosperity. People have been kept in debt when people were meant to be kept in prosperity. The gold would never have allowed the debt system, and the debt system allowed the global wealth to be shrunk and replaced, the prosperity being replaced with debts. And the Green Hilton Agreement would never have allowed that. Even with Gandhi and the League of Nations, they would never have. India was such a rich country back then. And India has been corporatized more and more. Even today, it's still being taken over by external loans and debts. Everyone in India has a debt now. It's illegal. All debts are illegal, and all debts are already paid by our trust accounts. Our trust account generates those debts, but we're just deceived into believing that the bank is giving us those loans. So SWISSINDO has been going on since over 130 years. You said 886, Lee. Is that right? 1800, sorry, 1886.
yeah. It's, again, we don't have a total accurate history. So but it's been going for thousands of years anyway.
Well, certainly the gold has been collected by the royals of the world there, and Africa produced a lot of gold. So the gold and the diamonds are securely placed in that area of Indonesia,
Yeah,
so that our ancestors could save it for us from the pirates. But the pirates found another way of cheating us, which was with the debts and loans. So our royalty and divinity is now overdue by 9 years, but actually it's a lot longer than that, since the 1945 agreement. And then before that, the UCC was meant to be gold in 1930. Bankruptcy of all countries at the Geneva Convention. So there have been attempts to try to give us prosperity, but they've always been blocked by this external force.
yeah,
So the possible scenarios, the endpoints are that the banks have been already criminally prosecuted. The governments have already been removed for carrying out these money laundering activities. The president's leaders have been disappearing the funds in the central accounts. They've been sending them to their private accounts, offshore accounts in Canvey Islands and wherever they can get away with it, which is which WikiLeaks was exposing, that, wasn't it?
that's right. Yeah,
There is no shortage of money. Try to tell people there is absolutely never, ever been any shortage of money.
no,
If each one of us had allocated 7.8 kilograms of gold and precious metals and diamonds to each one of us, that's the global share, equal share.
yeah,
We should not be living on a benefit system when, you know, $6 million is allocated to us as of today. We should have assets of $6 million each in our lifetime without having to work, nothing to do with working. If we work, it's more than that. If we
yeah,
get the infrastructures changed in the country, that will not cost us anything. That we won't be having to work to pay taxes to get those. There's 138.99 trillion set for those infrastructures. It's a separate payment. That's one of the payments, 11 payments. And then the banking, I'm not sure what the banking quota would be used for, the 138.99 trillion for the banking. Do you think that would go towards a 1% transaction fee? Is that what that would be for?
I'm not sure. We would have to ask Mr. Sino about that.
Yeah, and then so we're looking for SWISSINDO volunteers, aren't we? We want more people to come forward, and if they want to help when we get the money, it's going to be about not going into panic. I don't think people will panic. If your debts are written off, I don't see how people are going to panic.
Yeah,
What else could go wrongly? You know, what could the banks do now? They have to cooperate because they've already been criminally prosecuted. They've already been caught money laundering. They've already been caught making us think we had debts and loans when they were stealing from our trust accounts and securitizing our trust accounts, our birth certificate accounts. They were for us for our lifetime to be in prosperity.
yeah.
What can the banks do now? They should better stop chasing people for their homes and cars.
Well, the services that banks provide are very poor quality. So why don't they focus upon improving what they currently claim to be doing? And you know, I wrote to Charlie Nunn and I listed out the problems within the bank, some of the problems, and I've put the email address
Yeah,
there.
group executive complaints at lloydsbanking.com.
Yeah, Charlie Nunn replied to my complaint. Yeah,
Did we?
yeah, I just saw it then. Yeah.
And what did he say? What was your complaint?
They apologized. They admitted they're wrong.
What was your complaint?
The complaint is very complicated. It's not wise, you know, to go into it all here, but at least, you know, there is one atom of honesty there by
An
admitting.
apology, Lee, an apology is never a remedy.
No, that's true.
A resignation is never,
It's not a remedy. No.
nobody ever resigns. These criminals' resignations are actually sackings. If people believe that criminals can resign, that's not possible under criminal
No.
law. They have to
Well,
be criminally prosecuted and criminally held liable.
yeah, they haven't resigned. All they did was admit that they've done wrong.
No, I mean the
They've
ministers
done.
who were removed from the government of England.
Yeah,
They did not resign. You can't have 50 ministers resigning in one day. That's not possible. It's not possible for 30 people to independently decide that they're not going to. That's a sacking. 30 people in one day is a sacking. People believe these are resignations and they're going to come back into office. Nobody's coming back into office, Lee, because SWISSINDO is going to happen.
yeah,
And SWISSINDO is going to hold all of them criminally liable because we're 9 years overdue.
that's right.
That's not anything anyone can repair because many people have died in poverty and suicides have been committed on a daily basis because of that, those frauds. And these people had no shortage
That's
of
right.
money. They're stealing from our trust accounts and then making us homeless. That's, I don't
Yeah,
know, Lee, how these people can literally think they can get away with it. Even to this day, they're not making the SWISSINDO announcements. I've written to
well,
Charlie Nunn to say, make the
yeah,
SWISSINDO announcements.
that's right. That's what we're aiming to achieve. But these people are not genuine. They think they can get away with it and keep on fooling, deceiving people, tricking people.
I've written to Andrew Bailey at the Bank of England to tell him to make the announcements. I told him, you've received 1 quadrillion earlier this month. When are you going to give it out to the people of England?
That's right.
And backdated to 9 years. $1,200 per month, backdated to 9 years, which was yours without having to go to work.
Well, within the structure, he's like a bit far down. Above him is the Ministry of the Treasury. So the Treasury, because they own the Bank of England, only on one level, a public level, then they issue orders to Bailey, and then above the Treasury is the Chancellor of the Exchequer, and then above him is the Prime Minister. So the Prime Minister is actually they call him the First Lord of the Treasury of the Chancellor. So he's number one. Number two is the Exchequer, then the Treasury, then Bank of England. So it's
But above them is Her Majesty the Queen.
correct. And
And
above that is Mr. Seymour.
she sacked
So
them.
that's six levels.
She
That's right.
sacked them, Lee. She sacked them all.
That's right.
Because she holds the keys to number 10 and 11.
That's right.
So there's no way those two were sacked on different days. They were sacked on the same day, except that Boris Johnson thinks he's above the Queen. And they think they're above Mr. Seymour, who's above the Queen. That's what the problem is.
It is because they stole the prerogative away from the monarch. That's what they did. They stole it. And
that makes it a dictatorship.
It makes it a dictatorship.
The whole purpose of the monarch was that the democracies always have monarchs, because there's the God's oath, there's the oath is to serve and protect. The woman does the serving, the man does the protection. And then the to serve and protect us is to honor us, not to torture us. So any violation of the oath is a violation on the monarch. Any violation on the monarch is a treason. Is a violation against God.
Because when the Civil War finished and the Cromwell family were overtaken and pushed out by Parliament, and they decided to reinstate the monarch, Charles II, they would only reinstate the monarch if he took an oath or made a treaty, and that treaty is to protect the people of England.
Serve and protect.
To serve and protect. So there is within the Constitution that is written. That's the main fundamental agreement.
And that makes us all children of God, because the oath actually says, that the monarch's oath actually says to I hereby solemnly declare to honor the oath to God, to maintain God's laws, to serve and protect God's children, something like that.
Yeah.
Maintain God's laws.
And that gave, attached to that were monarch prerogatives, rights that are particular and specific.
Yeah.
And they can't, and nobody can take them away. It's
right.
Theresa May is incorrect when she says, yeah, she can take them away and use them herself. No, she cannot, because that's a violation of the Constitution of England. She violated it, and Boris doesn't have the authority to annul Parliament. Only the monarch has that authority to annul Parliament.
And the thing is, like, the monarch never gets to say anything on the media. The media is singing the tune from the puppet masters of our government, which are the dictators of our government. All the democratic governments have been taken over by the same dictators. So whatever happened to the British government last couple of months is the same is going to happen to all the governments of the world, because they committed the treason against the people by this spanking slavery system, which was meant to be the gold prosperity system. And the documentary evidence is that the 9 years default, we have the report that it happened, the G8 2013. We have the report from Elena Tlani, Alfredo Ramirez, and Michael Valette, who were there to ensure that the SWISSINDO announcements were made, and they got overtaken, overpowered with blackmails from the Colucci and the bankers. So ultimately, the bankers have been running the whole planet with the slavery system, which makes them satanic, which makes the banking system satanic. So Lee, there is no way that the banking system has got a future. There is no way they're going to cooperate with SWISSINDO. That is never going to happen, because the fundamental foundations of treason that they are built on would not be fixable. It's not. I mean, it's better to let them go, and just to start with, what we're saying is wise.com and these, the central banks will have to take orders from the people, which is that we log on to our accounts and we withdraw our money or access our money. That's what should be sitting there waiting for us. And we don't need the cooperation of these guys that are 9 years overdue. They're never going to voluntarily cooperate. And we don't have the time or the resources to wait for them anymore, because so many people have died in extreme poverty and trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people are going to have to act very fast regarding the demands that they make to their leaders. And those leaders have been all deemed unfit for office. South African was Indonesia, India, UK, America, all totally dictatorships.
Yeah.
So the United Nations structure has been saved only by His Majesty Mr. Sino, saved only by his dad, King SOEKARNO, the Green Hilton Agreement. The honourable goalposts have kept it for us to this day, so that at least we have a good, happy ending.
Yeah.
They've kept the memory of the truth of the efforts of our ancestors to make sure that their children would have, at the end of it, so we will have memorials of all the people who suffered at the hands of these greedy puppets,
Yeah.
So anything else, Lee, you want to talk about? What else people need to prepare for this launch? Because how is it going to pan out? It's just, firstly, the debts will be gone, the political prisoners will be released, Julian Assange will be released, Melanie Shaw, and we want criminal investigations into the disappearances of our whistleblowers, Patrick Cullinane, Julian Anthony Fernandez, Rita Taylor. We will be traveling to countries where the air is clean, water is clean, food is organic, and there will be no visas and passports. So wherever you come from, you will be able to go back to the country of your origins, and you can learn the royal way of living. We were always destined to live as royals.
I think that's a good session. We don't want to drag on
the
YouTube session, and we can have another one tomorrow on Thursday.
Sure. Okay, Lee, thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Everyone pray for SWISSINDO coming soon.
Yeah, thank
Next
you.
few days. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.